Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to Dynasty Drip today. We're going to be going over some of my favorite stashes in Dynasty Fantasy Football coming off of week 2. Now, we're going to start maybe a little lower, work into some guys that in a shallow league may be technically unowned. But if you guys haven't been to the channel before, make sure to hit like, hit subscribe, comment on the video, join the Discord below. Honestly, we're trying to build a community here, and I need all the help I can get from you guys. So I appreciate you being as obsessed with Dynasty Fantasy Football as me, that you are willing to click on a video talking about guys that may be unowned in your leagues. But let's get it kicked off. First guy I want to talk about today, wide receiver Tory Horton on Seattle. I mean, he made a big play for them in their Seattle versus Pittsburgh Steelers game this week. Now, he's still technically not, he's not the wide receiver 1. He's not the wide receiver 2. Cooper Kupp is. They are a run-first offense. They're going to use their tight ends, but Cooper Kupp ain't doing anything too special, and maybe in the future, Horton can develop into their wide receiver 2 of the future, or at least bring some sort of different dimension than Cooper Kupp does. Cooper Kupp, slot wide receiver, doesn't really have that elite speed or anything anymore. Horton is making some plays, and he's a guy that if he's unowned in your league, I think he's a guy I would prioritize adding off the waiver wire or using some of my fab, 5-10% of your dynasty fab, whatever you want to call it, to go get this guy onto your team just because he brings enough upside that I'm willing to stash him deep onto my roster. Another guy, Malik Washington, and I honestly would probably prioritize Washington above Horton if I was trying to make the decision. I'd love to go get them both, but Malik Washington's a guy I'd like to get a big, punt return this week for the Dolphins. He has that sort of tiny, speedy guy that the Dolphins like. And for me, it's really just a simple play as if Tyreek Hill or Jalen Waddle goes down, I think Washington could potentially go up in the ranks. Or if Tyreek Hill gets traded, I think Malik Washington might just move into a role where he becomes a little more valuable in Dynasty. Now, obviously, we're not shooting for Puka Nakuas all the time. Obviously, in a perfect world, every single stash turns into Puka Nakua. But I think Malik Washington could work his way into maybe a flex-worthy guy for some bye weeks or a deep dynasty PPR kind of league, especially if a guy like Tyreek Hill moves on. Now, Brashard Smith might be the only one that kind of has that upside, being a running back on the Kansas City Chiefs, I guess. For me, Brashard Smith, he's getting some touches in the offense. He hasn't really done much with them. But for me, no one else has done anything in the backfield in KC, so maybe they do give Smith a little bit more of a look in the coming weeks or as the season goes on. Maybe he could work his way into more of that Jerick McKinnon role from a couple years ago, which did have some fantasy success in a dynasty sense. McKinnon was a top 15, 20 RB for stretches multiple times for the Kansas City Chiefs, and I'm not impressed with Pacheco. Kareem Hunt is what he is. He's just a plotter. He doesn't move fast. He probably would be the goal line back. But maybe Brashard Smith in a PPR sense could bring some excitement and upside, and I'm willing to go get him onto my dynasty team right now. Another one I really like, Gunnar Helm, tight end for the Tennessee Titans. He's not the starter at the moment. Obviously, that's Chig Okonkwo. Don't really know if Chig's going to resign or whatnot, but Gunnar Helm is a guy who made some plays in the preseason. I liked him in college coming out of the University of Texas, and I think the Titans like him enough. He's gotten a couple catches, and we don't really know what's going to happen with that Titans offense yet. We don't know who the best playmakers are going to be. We haven't seen enough to see who Cam Ward is going to rely on throughout the future of his rookie contract. Gunnar Helm's a guy that is around. I spoke about Alik Ayamanor, however you say it, in a buy video as well. I really like him. For some reason, if he's on your waiver wire, you got to go get him right away. But Gunnar Helm, the sneaky low stash that I think could have a little upside in your dynasty league, especially in a tight end premium league. You never know with these tight ends. You add guys like Gunnar Helm, maybe they turn into Jake Ferguson and potentially a guy you use at some points in your dynasty league. Now, this next one, Rasheen Ali, pure handcuff, but he does seem to be seeing the field a little bit for the Ravens. Obviously, Justice Hill is above him on the depth chart, but I think they would kind of serve different roles. We haven't really seen Keaton Mitchell much yet either, but I think Rasheen Ali isn't a bad, deep stash if you're looking for a guy that could maybe raise himself in the ranks. if something would happen. But, you know, for me, I'm getting a little deeper as these guys. And then to finish this video off, I'm going to give you two of the more shallow players I want to talk about just because they may be available just based on kind of where they're at on KTC. Jalen Coker on the IR right now. Obviously, we're not super excited about owning Panthers necessarily besides like McMillan, maybe Chuba Hubbard. But Jalen Coker on IR, I don't think I've seen anything from Xavier Legette that makes me think he's going to keep some immense role when Jalen Coker comes back. Hunter Renfrow scored last week. Nothing super exciting moving super in the future. So Jalen Coker is a guy I liked in the offseason. I heard the right things from Canales, the head coach of the Panthers, that I'm willing to trust it enough. Maybe Jalen Coker is available. You can stash him on your IR spot. And this last one, this is shallow leagues. But I was checking out KTC earlier today. Wan'Dale Robinson still in the 70s as a dynasty wide receiver. So maybe he is available in some leagues. Maybe you play in a 10-team league or a shallow league. But Wan'Dale Robinson had a monster game after being involved week 1 as well. I think this Giants team is going to have to throw the ball to be competitive this year. And Wan'Dale Robinson has been involved in the offense. He's working on the deep side of the field. He's working on the short half as well. So he's involved enough for me that I like taking a chance on Wan'Dale Robinson. Now, this was a super short video. I don't have too much to say about these guys. You know, in general, stashes are long shots. I want to put them on the bottom end of my bench, some guys with upside. Make sure to check out my other videos as well, guys. I appreciated you joining the channel. If you have any questions or have players you like, drop them in the comments below. Like the video, subscribe. I appreciate you guys. Have a good week.